We're just talking about you like you're not here. How are you today, Dr. Rutledge?
I'm well. I'm having fun.
And so, where are you from? Where's that accent from?
Mississippi.
Oh, very nice, very nice. So
She
now,
got her Southern gentleman. How
last
you
time
doing?
Deborah was here, she mentioned 3 billion and counting, and talked about how you spent a lot of time interviewing people in Africa, India, here in America, scientists, politicians, all kinds of people about the issue of malaria. And we obviously like to keep it light and fun here, but this is really important. And I would love for you to share why you personally think this is so important.
Well, yeah, I'm a preventive medicine doctor, and when I saw how many people were dying from a disease that's completely preventable, I'm like, ooh, I really was compelled to have to do something about it. So we really just bought some cameras and took off for Africa. I mean, this was not scripted. It was just, let's go make a difference. And we shot couple of hundred hours of footage, and so this story just came to life itself. It found itself. And that's a true documentary. It's pure cinema verite style. It's not like I wrote a script and we go fill in the script. This is just raw footage from everyone, from people to man on the streets in Harlem. They're in the documentary here. What do they know about malaria? What do they do to prevent mosquito bites, things like that? I was just very, very compelled to make a difference, to help. These people are being discriminated against in many, many ways. And so I can't stand for that.
As a physician, was this something how did it first present itself to you?
I had patients in 2004. California was leading the nation in West Nile virus. And so they said, well, how can I prevent this? Well, let me see. I don't know. So the more research you do, vector-borne diseases, meaning diseases that are transmitted by insects, keeps popping up, and malaria keeps coming up at 500 million people every year getting infected. 450 million of those cases are in Africa. I thought it was an old world disease, that it was gone.
I think a lot of us have long believed it was an old world disease, that it was something that was brought here.
Well, most people don't know that malaria takes more lives than HIV.
Yeah.
3 to 1.
I had no idea. I'm like your perfect example of oblivious, Joe Q public. I didn't know anything about it. And yeah, the title 3 billion and counting, it's like that disease has taken, what is it, more than half the Earth's, the people that have ever lived on Earth.
Right.
More than half of that
National
amount.
Geographic.
And so why do you,
Yeah.
from your point of view, Dr. Rutledge, why do you think it hasn't been reported as widespread as other medical issues that people are suffering from? Is it, do I dare say, cultural?
Well, it doesn't affect your neighbor, see, so it's not popular. We don't hear much about it.
But when it is affecting what has become the title of this documentary, 3 billion and counting, it has to be someone's neighbor.
Oh, well, it is, but it's not in America.
Okay.
See, it's all over the rest of the world. We eradicated malaria.
Okay.
We had it prior to the war, World War II. There were 6 million cases before the war. And
how were we able to eradicate it, anecdotally?
Primarily, DDT came on the scene.
Okay.
And we sprayed it, and then from 1946 to 1951, it was completely eradicated in about 5 years.
All right.
And then, too, putting screens on windows. And when you rise out of poverty, not that America was in poverty compared to the rest of the world, but when you help a society rise out of poverty, health gets better, population goes down, all kinds of things.
And so how would it be then fair to take that information and then follow the layman's thought process toward poverty-stricken nations suffering greatly from this, while we're out there trying to fix the ills of the world through various war conflicts, while we have movie stars adopting babies from certain places because they want a good photo op? Are we ignoring this?
It's been heavily ignored and misguided. I mean, not to put anyone down, but when you don't look at the right or the most effective means of doing something, it's kind of spinning your wheels.
Right.
So when you advocate bed nets, I'm not against bed nets, but it's an antiquated technology.
Well, yeah, that's like if you're trying to, back in the 70s, up in the boogie down Bronx where I was raised, when you were trying to get rid of flies, you get one of those big sticky things, and you'd hope the flies would somehow think that was attractive, that there was food on it.
Right.
It doesn't really work, y'all. It's just
nasty.
It's just ugly, and it makes your house look ghetto.
Unbeknownst to me, too, like there's all these fundraisers for bed nets, and then in the documentary, you're made aware of the fact that the bed nets are actually sold most of the time, not given away. So there are these people that make $5 a month, and the bed net costs $35, or whatever. I mean, it's insane. It's really insane.
That's incredible.
And people think they're doing good. You've got about Idle Gives Back and all these fundraisers for malaria, but the funds raised are going to vaccines, and you can elaborate more on the fact that the vaccine ain't never going to happen, probably.
Right. I mean, they've been looking for a vaccine, and it's coming in the next 5 years for the last 50 years.
Oh dear.
See.
Like, whatever happened to the quinine debate?
It's still available.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but most of malaria now is resistant to it. The
By
plasmodia is the parasite, and so if you use it IV, it works.
Right.
But that's cumbersome and only in hospital settings. Now it's something called artemisinin, which is the best. It's a Chinese herb, actually. Is where it
So
came from.
as the time ticks on and nothing's changing in terms of finding a vaccine,
Woman or child every 12 seconds.
does it mutate into a harder to kill superbug?
Well, let me tell you about the mutation thing. AIDS has 9 genes.
Yeah.
Malaria has 6,000. We haven't found a vaccine for AIDS. When do you think we'll find one for malaria? Not anytime soon.
Well, I mean, it's like there's so many debatable ideas. But, I often wonder if we'll ever find a vaccine for AIDS, because AIDS is now big business. The money to be made from just throwing pills at people has become a multi-billion-dollar business for people. You're going to have a lot of hungry people once there's a vaccine, so there's never going to be a vaccine.
So think about the malaria business. There's
Right.
bed net manufacturers.
Right.
There's chemical manufacturers
Right.
that don't want to see a generic, which is DDT.
Right.
They want to produce more
Right.
expensive alternatives.
So-
there's the hospital situations. There's so many forces that are
Making
making money from malaria.
So it's congruous.
Oh yeah, and
Yeah.
that's a big. I mean, well, see, we were scammed.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I ask you about DDT, what would you say?
I also don't know a whole lot about it. I know basic things.
I just, honestly, in my head, the minute you say it, I just immediately think of that odd spray can with the weird vacuum at the end that everybody used to spray to keep things out, like keep the bugs away from wherever. Yeah, that's. Or the trucks that would drive
But
by.
there's not, I mean, I guess the point is that there's not a lot of
everywhere.
general population education about.
Well, most people, when you say DDT, they think nuclear waste or something that's just
Right.
Cancer
toxic,
causing.
bad.
Yeah.
Well, it just seems like a bad idea. It sounds toxic.
it's
Even the
very
letters,
chemically,
for some reason,
yeah.
even the letters in that succession sound toxic.
Right, but the National Academy of Science estimated that it had saved more lives than penicillin. 500 million
that
deaths
something?
prevented
And it won the see, I didn't know this. It won the Nobel Peace Prize,
in 1939.
and then
didn't
was
know that either.
banned. And then was
So-
just like they discontinue your favorite lip glosses at Chanel.
And the McRib.
Sorry,
Okay.
anything that works eventually gets discontinued for some odd reason.
Not that I'm allowed to eat them,
Right.
but that's
I
a different
figured I'd
topic
lighten
for
the
another
mood
day.
being it's morning radio, and now the listeners are going, "Oh my God, dear God." Sorry, Rutledge, your scientist and doctor friends now are like, "Who is this girl?"
Well,
This is how we keep people enthralled
Right.
in the real
Exactly.
issue.
Okay, I'm going to shut up now.
No, you're doing great. Because we only have a few minutes left with you, Doctor, I'm curious to know how making this film has informed your practice, the way you do what you do.
Well, how do you change anything is with awareness.
Right.
And so it just, even when it got down to organic foods, I'm a proponent of organic foods, but I'm not a proponent of not having it either. It's more expensive. When you start looking at the real science, there's trade-offs. Like, for instance, an organic apple is very small, but it's high in antioxidants because it has a thicker peel. It has to protect itself from insects, but it's much less of the actual meat of the fruit
Right.
that feeds people. So there's trade-offs. So things like that really started dawning on me. It's like, I shouldn't just tell everyone they should eat all organic. You eat organic if you wish and if you can afford it and pay for it. But if you put that on everyone, people eat less vegetables and things because they can't afford it. And so then you have a net harm.
And then you have
to
people
advocating that.
eating banquet chicken and McRibs. And lots of ABC News reports about fat people. And
Lot
so
of shots.
do you practice with the hope that you used to before you learned about all this? Because most doctors practice with hope, and then something happens that
I practice with knowing.
okay.
When you know something, you're powerful. You know it. It's not a belief. It's not, I hope. It's, I know this, and so I need to impart this. I need to impart it to my patients, people. Anyway, just to empower. When you empower people, there's nothing that they rise up. Hence the song, Rise.
Yeah.
What I would say, the greatest thing is for, i.e., the common man, anyone out there on the street, to see this film. It's an eye-opening thing. It will empower just by knowing, by revealing the truth. We were scammed by the government.
Right.
We were, yet again, is that new? we were led down a primrose path, and it's been deleterious to the rest of the world through our beliefs. I interviewed the last remaining DDT production plant in India, and he said, how do you kill a dog? You give it a bad name. Pretty profound statement.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. You can defame anyone and just push it down, push them up. And that's what's happened to the rest of the people all over the world by preventing them from having a technology that is life-giving. And so that's my mission on Earth here, is to help people. That's why I'm a doctor. And so anything that I can do that helps in any kind of way, that's what I do.
Well, very good. Well, Dr. Rutledge, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for
having me. Really
having
nice to have you, and you have a good sense of humor, too.